The Lament of Marsyas. The Phrygian wilderness lay bathed in golden light, its trees standing like sentinels of ancient wisdom. The river Meander wound lazily through the land, its waters glistening in the afternoon sun. Amidst this untouched beauty, a satyr roamed. Marsyas, half man half beast, was no stranger to the deep places of the forest, where shadows danced and the scent of pine and earth filled the air. He was a creature of revelry, of wild joy, of untamed song. And then he found it. There, resting upon a smooth stone in the grove of Athena, lay an aulos, a flute like no other. Crafted from bone, it gleamed in the dappled sunlight, its surface carved with delicate patterns. Marsyas knelt, reaching for the instrument as though in reverence. The moment his fingers closed around it, a shiver ran through his body, an electric thrill of something ancient and powerful. He did not know that Athena herself had fashioned this instrument, only to cast it away in disgust when she saw how it distorted her face as she played. Marsyas raised the flute to his lips, and the world changed. A note escaped, high and haunting, curling into the air like mist at dawn. The leaves above trembled and the birds, caught mid-song, fell silent. He played again, and the melody unfolded like a river breaking through a dam, wild and free, rushing forward in exuberance. He played and the trees leaned closer to listen. He played and the animals of the forest crept forward, their wary eyes filled with wonder. He played and his soul soared. The flute had chosen him. As days turned to weeks, Marsyas' skill grew. The flute, at first an instrument of curiosity, became an extension of his very being. The melody that spilled from it was no longer mere sound. It was the voice of the earth itself, the lament of the river, the heartbeat of the trees. And the world noticed. Men and women gathered to hear him, their eyes wet with tears as his music stirred emotions they had no words for. Dryads swayed like reeds in the wind, bewitched by his song. Even the mighty gods upon Olympus, gazing down from their celestial thrones, heard whispers of a mortal whose music rivaled divinity itself. Pride took root in Marsyas' heart. He, a simple satyr, had mastered an art that even Athena had abandoned. He had no need for the golden lyres of the gods, no need for Apollo's famed melodies. His music was raw, unbound by order or reason, pulsing with the rhythm of life itself. And so the challenge was spoken. Let Apollo himself descend from Olympus and face me. Let him prove he is greater than Marsyas. The words, spoken in jest, carried on the wind, reaching ears that should never have heard them. For words once spoken cannot be undone. It was on a day like no other that the sky darkened, not with storm but with something more profound. The golden light of the sun seemed to pulse as if with a slow, knowing heartbeat. The air grew heavy, charged with something unseen but undeniable. And then he appeared. Apollo, god of light, of music, of reason, stepped forward into the mortal realm. His tunic shimmered like spun sunlight, his golden hair cascading down his shoulders like molten fire. His hands, long and graceful, cradled his lyre, a thing of perfection, strung with celestial threads that hummed even in silence. The mortals fell to their knees. The dryads and satyrs bowed their heads. Even the river, ever restless, seemed to hush its flow. But Marsyas did not kneel. Instead he met Apollo's gaze, defiant and bold, his hands tightening around his flute. The god's expression remained unreadable. Was it amusement? Pity? Or something darker? You challenge me, satyr? Apollo's voice was smooth like the lull of a gentle breeze before the storm. Marsyas grinned. I do, O radiant one. Unless, of course, the god of music fears to be bested by one such as I. A ripple passed through the crowd, half admiration, half horror. Apollo merely smiled. Then let the contest begin. The Muses themselves came to judge. They seated themselves on high, their eyes gleaming with divine wisdom. Marsyas lifted his flute first. The moment he played, the world seemed to breathe. The trees shuddered, their roots gripping the earth as if they feared being pulled from it. The rivers slowed, their surfaces rippling with sorrow. His melody was fire and storm, the call of the hunt, the laughter of the wind. Mortals wept. Nymphs clutched at their chests. Even the gods leaned forward. When he finished, the air was thick with silence. Then Apollo stepped forward. He touched the strings of his lyre and the heavens wept. His melody was not of the earth. It was of the stars, of the dawn, of the very order that held the cosmos together. Where Marsyas' song had been wild, untamed, and beautiful, Apollo's was flawless, measured, divine. The satyr's fingers clenched. He played again, more desperately now, his notes spiraling like a fire blazing against the night. But Apollo simply smiled. And then he sang. His voice was a thing of pure radiance, weaving into his lyre's song like golden thread into silk. It filled every crack, every space, every breath. Marsyas faltered. A flute could not sing. The contest was lost. Apollo turned to Marsyas, his golden gaze unreadable. For daring to challenge a god, he declared, you shall suffer a god's punishment. A hush fell upon the world. The laughter of the trees stilled. The whispers of the river ceased. Then came the flaying. Marsyas screamed. Apollo's hands, those graceful instruments of music, now became the tools of pain. With each motion, the satyr's skin peeled away, stripped like the bark of a tree. His cries filled the forest, echoing through the mountains, until even the gods turned their faces away. When at last all was silent, and the ground ran red with his blood, the river meander swelled from the earth where Marsyas fell, a spring burst forth, a river that bore his name, a testament to his suffering.